we're starting to see the flailing happening on the left. The screeching of the end of an era is happening, where the Trudeau government doesn't know what to do anymore. They have no value to offer Canadians. They have nothing to offer this country. So now they've done something a little different. They are now going on the offensive. The Liberal Party tweet this out. It says that far-right American-style politics have no place in Canada. Yet, Pierre Poilievre continues to import and spread their harmful rhetoric. Our Liberal team will always stand up to ensure all Canadians feel safe and free to be themselves, with a photo of a headline that says Pierre Poilievre under fire after video surfaces of homophobic and transphobic speech.
And you know what? What I hate about this? It works. Because I had brunch with some friends and I was like, okay, it's election day. Who are you voting for? And they both went, Trudeau. And I was just like, why? Why? And they're like, well, Pierre Poilievre scares me. I think that he's going to undo the social fabric of Canada. I think that he's going to make it unsafe for gay and trans people, and that like women's rights are going to be rolled back, and that we're going to head back to the 1950s because that's what he wants. And I'm like, wow, that liberal media machine worked overtime and it's working. And so that's why I'm nervous. I think back when like Jennifer L was saying, don't think that you've got this in the bag. Like you knock on doors, like you need to win. And I think that that's actually the case. I think that all the polls are leaning towards Conservatives, but I think that they still are fighting this. And the problem is, like I said, it's working. And so I don't know what things are going to look like. But it was the whole conversation. Then I was like, well, when we look at some of the things that Trudeau has said, I said, it's all performative. You talk about the fact that he is a feminist. He kicked out 2 really strong female leaders who stood against him, who spoke truth to power, gone. Like you talk about how he's for Indigenous peoples and Indigenous rights. The Waterland Reserves, still terrible, but let's not talk about that. Let's keep that to the side. Like, he just completely goes against it. He's talking about like making sure that average Canadians have what they need to do well, yet throwing millions upon billions of dollars into the hands of private investors, private companies, like the billionaires of the world. It's like you're ingratiating the wealth of all of your friends at the expense of Canadians. How does that correlate with any of the messaging and rhetoric that you believe about this man? And because they're thoughtful people, they stopped and went, I don't know. And it was that cognitive dissonance of like, but I've been hearing all this stuff about how great he is, and this is the vision that I have of this person, and anybody who says the opposite is obviously far right. So it was like watching that light go on of like, I need to now think about this differently. And if you're lucky enough to have people in your life where they are thoughtful about things like that, it's very interesting to watch that switch happen in real time. But it's just further evidence that like this kind of rhetoric works, and fear is what's driving it.
They do a good job of it. This is one thing Liberals are very, very good at. They are good at getting their messaging and then pounding it into the heads of their followers. So we just read that tweet out, and then shortly after they posted that day, you had Mark Gerritsen, who came out and spoke from Parliament Hill about that very issue.
I think what Canadians really need to reflect on right now is where Mr. Poilievre has taken the Conservative Party of Canada. We have now seen, not once, but twice in the last 2 days, the importation of this far right-wing American-style politics that's traditionally been occupied in the space of the MAGA movement. We're now seeing this being imported into Canada. Why on earth would the Conservative Party of Canada and their MPs turn their back on Ukraine right now in their time of need? It can be explained by nothing other than the importation of far-right politics written by the hand of somebody like Tucker Carlson. I strongly encourage all Canadians to reflect on this. We are at a pivotal point in our democratic process, our democratic institution right now, where we're seeing a pivotal shift, and it's something that we seriously need to reflect on.
They're really good at it and pushing that pressure point. What's one thing that Canadians are super insecure about?
They don't want to be Americans.
Exactly. So, American-style politics is coming north of the border. We don't want that here. We don't want that divisive rhetoric here. We don't want to be like the MAGA movement. We don't want that taking over the country, do we? They don't want to support Ukraine. They don't want to do free trade with Ukraine. Was that the actual issue? No. Are they straight up lying to you out of omission? Yes. Is that the Liberals do best? That's what politicians do best? Of course. That's the game they're playing.